don't get too fixated on your gross income. I think my dad has a saying where gross income is vanity, net income is sanity. And I really like that point that you made, because if you focus too much on your gross sales, it can make you think you're making a lot more money than you are and spending money that you don't actually have.
My name's Hillary. You might know me on Depop as Trill Vintage. I started Depop as a way to have a side hustle. It just really checked all the boxes for me for being sustainable and my love of thrifting and photography. Right away, the biggest hidden cost for me was postage. I was severely overpaying by going to the post office to the point where I wasn't even making profit on some things. Honestly, just knowing your numbers inside and out is what really separates this from being a business from a hobby. I would definitely stress how important it is to know your net income versus your gross income. Your gross income is all of the money you're bringing in before fees are taken out and shipping, and then your net is after all those expenses are taken out. And so your gross might look like you're making a ton of money, and that's awesome, but it's really not unusual for you to actually be keeping less than 40% of that. The first step is really utilizing what Depop is already providing for us, which is the sales downloads and the stats. You're able to see graphs of your revenue, how many items that you've sold, how much money you're making. It's really cool to be able to see what months you're performing the best. I think I realized maybe my second year of using Depop that I really wanted to harness more data. This page right here is all of my inventory. As soon as I bring stuff home from the thrift store, I input everything in here. It's assigned its own SKU. When it sells, I'm able to just check a box and mark that it's sold. I used to think it was super boring. I used to think it wasn't that important, and now I get really excited every time I bring stuff home, putting it in my inventory sheet, seeing how those numbers change, and it's I turn into a spreadsheet nerd.
I'm absolutely horrible at math, so my accountants will handle any sort of accounting. The only thing that I really need to be on track of is the flow of money coming in and the flow of money coming out. I just need to make sure I'm not overspending. Hey, I'm Maya. We're at my apartment, and this is where I do all of my Depopping. I did keep my receipts for the first 2 years because I was so unsure with the taxes. My dad told me to keep everything. So this is my important Depop, PayPal, taxes, all of that stuff. So when I first started doing this, there was an app called Cam Scanner, and I would take the receipt, put it flat, take a black and white scanned photo of it, and I would email it to myself and add it to a folder that was Depop taxes. So time consuming. I don't save my receipts anymore because QuickBooks saves all of my receipts digitally, and my accountants can categorize what is personal spending versus what is business spending. Other expenses would be packaging supply, gas, electricity, where you're gonna store it, AKA your rent or what your lease is. That's probably going to be your biggest expense besides sourcing. If I actually spent all my time doing my own accounting, I would never be doing my listings. But that would not be scaling my own business. I would be doing work that I don't need to be doing.
Hi, my name's Zachariah. I'm the owner of Tucson Inc. on Depop. It's scary how much I know I would have got wrong if I'd not had an accountant. I would have moved as a business a lot slower. A good accountant will save you more money than you'll spend on it. Just simply Googling local accountancy firms, meeting 3 or 4, and then just seeing which ones I like the most. Having someone who brings that mental clarity and just peace will allow you so much time to just think about growing your business, think about where you want to take it, about creativity, without the constant worry that I might be doing something really wrong. I've relied on mine a lot in the first 2 years. I reinvest around about 70 towards 80% of the money I earn back into the business, which I think is probably very similar for most people just starting out. As you're in your first few years of business and it's not going to be too profitable and you're learning a lot of lessons for the first time. Before I started my own business, I really had a stigma towards debt and just understanding that as something that you want to avoid. But now I see it far more as something to almost lean into and use as a tool to get where you want to go quicker. It scared me, the idea of having a minus in your account. But I think there's good debt and bad debt. If you're spending a loan or an overdraft on things that you know aren't going to make money again, that's bad debt. Whereas if you have a plan and you can feel that it's right and you know that's where you want to go with your business, then you're almost just able to press fast forward and give you access to capital that will be, it would take months and months and months to gather that just through sales. When I got my first overdraft, it was because I had scaled up the business. I went from my apartment to an office, and whilst at the time I didn't necessarily need the capital, I knew that if I was paying a new expense of £1,000 every month, if there's ever dips, I would need to be prepared for it. A loan is more for when you have a clear vision of what you need, and an overdraft being for when you just want a safety net for an uncertain, rocky period.
Depending on how you do your taxes, some people do it once a year, some people do it quarterly. At least save 25% of what you are making. Just have it stored, almost like an emergency fund for your business.
Utilize the Depop sales downloads. Pay attention to your numbers so you know if you're successful or not, or how successful you are. You know what you should be investing in.
When it comes to finances, I know it can be difficult and it can be daunting, but I'd say so long as you have people around you that are willing to help and you go at a pace that you're comfortable with, it will be okay, and it's all within your control. You'll inevitably learn a lot from being uncomfortable and being in that zone of where you're pushing yourself and growing.